The project I'm going to be telling you about is Fusing Fabrics, where I tried to create a outfit that represented ancient Rome using different plastics. The first thing I made was a tunic. This is actually two pieces of plastic that I sewed together at the shoulders. I made it first with a white plastic tablecloth that I had written different symbols on. After that, I layered in some blue and green plastic and some fake leaves I had purchased that I just kind of tore up. I made them smaller so they were easier to infuse in. And then on top of that, I did a clear plastic layer, and that kind of held everything in together. The hardest part about this piece was just the size of it. The wax paper had to be big enough that I could, iron everything down and cutting everything. So it was very difficult working on this large of a scale. But I did like the fact that I was able to create fabric really using nothing, just everything I had laying around the house. If I were going to do this again, I would be sure I had some sort of pattern to go on, and I would definitely use smaller pieces throughout this process. I was surprised how easy it was to do. Really, the ironing, everything worked really easy once I kind of had done it a few times. But I wasn't at all scared about the iron and was it too hot or was I going to burn myself. The second piece I made was a headband, and I loved the way this turned out. Definitely a lot easier to use, smaller scale to cut the pieces, the different colors and the glitter that came through. I just was really, really pleased at how good this looked when I was all finished. One thing that was easier about this, besides just the size of it, was I had found the project on Pinterest, so I knew what it looked like, and I kind of had an idea of how many pieces I was going to need and things like that. It's just a paper plate that has the leaves cut onto glued onto it. One thing that was difficult about this project was the fact that it was hot glued on, which you wouldn't think is a big deal, but the first time I did it, I wasn't thinking about the fact that this was very thin plastic, and I went to push it down and burned my fingers quite a bit. So I ended up using sticks and such to help hold it in place while I did it. So that's definitely something I would think about, either maybe stapling or using just regular glue next time, because that was definitely a little bit trickier. Some things I took away from this was a couple things I just jumped right in and tinkered, and I ended up with some really cool things. And other things I kind of had a plan, and both worked. There's really not a wrong or right way to do that. I definitely need to be prepared for messes. When I got the most excited, the biggest messes would come out. But I need to be sure to keep the work area clean because with especially like the hot glue and the iron, that's when things could get dangerous. I had bought a lot of really fun things to play with, and I enjoyed that, but I really think I got the most creative when I just focused in on a few products like the plastic bags. So I need to make sure to remember that it's okay to limit supplies, because that really forces students to be creative and really think about how things can be utilized. Overall, I think this is a really fun project and definitely a great way to incorporate sewing into the classroom. And I loved being able to create just such a huge variety of fabrics, really just using things we have laying around our house.